Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler, as well as producer Zach is with us. We always clap it up when...
twice in a row.
Yeah, I mean, this is a record.
Happy New Year's Eve. The ball drops tonight. Zach is here. I mean,
closing 2024 strong for Zach today.
Look at
strong
this.
Close to the
Who said
year.
it yesterday on the live stream that I've probably been here as many times as the Dolphins have wins?
Yeah. Well, you're just keeping up.
No,
because
Dolphins
the
might have more
winning.
wins. Yeah, Dolphins might have more wins. This one.
Yeah, there's Ziggy with the fins up right there. So today, we have a pretty fun show today, guys. We'll have the power rankings off the top. Then we're going to get into the playoff situation, the playoff scenarios.
Do you like scenarios?
In Week 18. I love scenarios. I love the scenarios that we have for Week 18 of this NFL season. During that, we'll talk a little bit about why teams should be optimistic or potentially pessimistic about their playoff team as we head into the NFL playoffs. If you're enjoying these videos...
No. This is... you're running the show. It's Optimist Paul season. We're going to be optimistic.
It is optimistic, Paul. I can't think of too many situations where I'm not pessimistic anymore. I'm just a happy guy now.
Good.
And then, Vikings having a great year. Notre Dame having a great year. It's been a fantastic...
Notre Dame plays
season.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, the Notre Dame game.
I mean, this season is just set up to give you and me maximal heartbreak.
It is. I've thought about that today. I was like, all right, this week of football is probably the most excited I've been for a week of football. Maybe in my life, actually. Like, it's right up there with Vikings NFC Championship game weeks. But we have Notre Dame tomorrow in the playoff game against Georgia. Vikings potential 1 seed against the Lions. Like, it's all right there. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm not going to worry about the heartbreak. I know it's probably going to happen, but
I'm going to make the fade.
I'm just going to enjoy
the fade Paul parlay.
The fade Paul
parlay.
parlay.
Lions Georgia outright in a parlay.
No.
I already have Georgia, but I got to add the Lions to that too.
It's not, man. This would be pretty high levels of heartbreak. It wouldn't be maximum heartbreak, but this is pretty close to max heartbreak. If Georgia and Detroit won, it'd be close. It wouldn't be the max. It wouldn't be the peak. So we'll see how
the show.
Yeah, well, the show would be all-time viewership. It would just be me totally depressed about football. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can always check us out on Instagram as well, TikTok, on Twitter. We have tweets coming out all the time. If you can't watch on YouTube, you can always listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can actually watch on Spotify. Our videos, the full videos, are uploaded to Spotify as well as we close out the regular season here and we get into... not our busiest time of the month, but I would say probably our most viewed time of the month in January, hopefully, depending on how a few teams do here or there. Best thing you could do is tell a friend, leave a comment. It's always fun when we go on like Reddit or Twitter and you see that you're mentioned in something. So if you're enjoying these shows, please go ahead, leave a Reddit comment, leave a tweet. Just say, hey, listen to the Paul Farrington Show. We do. We all the time. We retweet people. Just say like, hey, loved listening to the show today, and we'll retweet it. We'll do whatever. It's always great to see the fan engagement from that point of view. So let's get into the power rankings. We haven't done it for maybe like a week or two because of the holiday season coming up. We get busy. People get busy. You're buying gifts. Ziggy is he's called the Santa Claus of California. I don't know. He goes around chimney to chimney delivering gifts.
I heard Santa Claus of the West Coast.
Oh, the West Coast. The entire up and down the coast,
yeah,
Ziggy.
That's what I've heard.
He's a great gift giver. So why don't we do our power rankings? We'll return to that. If anyone doesn't remember how we do it, or if you're new to the show, instead of just listing our teams 1 through 10, what we do is we each take one pick at a time from 10 to 1 and try and build the perfect list together. The problem is that we all have differing lists. So sometimes a team that we all really like might get left out because we're putting different teams in from that like 10 to 7 slot. So Jack's going to start off with the 10th selection here. The number 10 team in the league currently is...
First, I will say that I did receive a white Christmas from Ziggy. And second off, we did finally. Actually, we had a white 10. Christmas here in Jersey for the first time in like 15 years. We did a very white Christmas. It was nice.
Ziggy Claus was very good to us.
The number 10 team in the league, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have my Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, you dropped them far.
At number 10, yeah. It was a humbling 3 weeks. 2 losses I'm not shocked by, both on the road to Philly and Baltimore. Then coming home in a game where I thought was going to be competitive. You lose by 20 points to the Chiefs, who were looking vulnerable. Just those 3 straight weeks, unfortunately, show me that Pittsburgh is a playoff team, but not a team who can win more than 1 game in the playoffs. Still a top 10 team in the league, still a playoff team. I don't think there's 10 teams better, but they're right there at number 10.
It's close.
Zach, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I have the Steelers at 19.
I think that's just outrageous.
19? Come on, man.
I think that's just
Well,
crazy.
they moved down from borderline top 10 to 19. I mean, they could be a little bit better and get back into the top 10. There's a lot of congestion from like that 11 to 20 spot.
That's just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life.
19? Are you kidding?
Yeah, that's just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life.
If they were marginally better, they'd be in the top 10. I don't think there's a lot of difference, but they're no good.
I love that Ziggy did all 32 teams when we just said we were doing a top 10.
I love it. I love it.
Now,
I want to hear the 18 teams ahead of them when we're done with this. When we're done with the list. Okay, so Ziggy,
who's 18?
You're at 9. Oh,
Who's number 18? The Chargers.
Okay.
Oh, that's what?
All right, look, we'll get there.
Who's 17?
Let's go 9.
The Browns?
Your ninth team, or for this list.
Yeah, at number 9, we've got a team that's returning. You know, we've been talking about Detroit. There's a famous song by some guy from Detroit that says, "Guess who's back?" I'll tell you who's back in our top 10. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, this team's not making the playoffs. There's basically no chance. But the offense is good. The defense is occasionally okay.
God almighty.
And look, you look at this Bengals team. You look at what they've done, right? They were already playing decent football. Well, they blew out the Browns. They beat the Broncos, who I think everybody has as a pretty good team. They're coming off 4 straight wins. Like, this Bengals team is playing good football. I wouldn't want to play them at this point in the season. I guarantee you the Steelers don't want to play them next week. I like this Bengals team. I like the offense. They're number 9.
The Steelers are a home dog to Cincinnati next week on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
are you,
that tells you how bad people think the Steelers team
You know, I'll
is.
be hammering the Steelers in that game.
So the Steelers, if they win, they'll be the 5 seed?
Assuming Baltimore wins, yes.
Yeah, so you're playing for that. Yeah, assuming Baltimore wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you're going to be playing people. That's wow, home dog.
I'll tell you, if Cleveland beats Baltimore at 4:30, we're going to pound Cincinnati at 8 o'clock.
Okay, so we start off with the Steelers at 10, the Bengals at 9. I'm going to go with the Commanders at 8. And the Commanders would have fallen out of the top 10 if they had lost to the Falcons on Sunday night. And I don't know if you guys also agreed with me here, but I thought the kick was going in, the Atlanta kick, the 56-yarder.
Oh, it looks like it was good.
It was kind of like the Will Reichert kick, Ziggy, where when he kicked it, I don't know, people who watched our live stream saw me put up a fist bump. And I was like, all right, 3 points on the board, and then all of a sudden it falls short. We're just so used to kickers hitting these 56, 57, 60-yard field goals right now. It's kind of weird when someone comes up short and you go, oh, wait a second, that's a pretty far kick. But crushing for the Falcons. On the other hand, the Commanders wind up clinching a playoff spot for the first time since it was 2020, I believe. And Jaden Daniels is the difference here. The guy's unbelievable, and he's been great all season long. I don't think that there's much of a ceiling to them in terms of going to a Super Bowl or NFC Championship game, but for what we expected from Washington this year, I mean, what an unbelievable season for Dan Quinn, for Jaden Daniels. They're in a great spot going forward, and to be the 8th best team in the league going into Week 18, just a huge win.
Yeah, I mean, also coming back from down 10 points last night, too. Sloppy start.
I thought Michael Penix, I mean, what an impressive drive from Penix, too. The touchdown drive,
right,
yeah. Fourth and goal. Like, Michael Penix also played. I mean, these rookie quarterbacks, if you told me back
Washington
in week...
was down by 10 points.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
If you told me back in week 1 that in week 17 you'd be having Jaden Daniels playing well, Mike, or you had how many rookie quarterbacks started? Rattler played, right? So it was Rattler, Penix,
yeah, he didn't look great.
Daniels, Drake May, Caleb, Nix. If you told me 6 quarterbacks played, I would have been like, oh, I'm assuming, well, I guess you told me before JJ got hurt. I'd be assuming JJ McCarthy was playing.
And you know who the worst quarterback of those 6 are? Caleb Williams.
Probably, right?
No. Rattler's worse.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Rattler, yeah.
Yeah, no,
sucks
Rattler's been worse.
Yeah.
The other ones have been decent.
I like Washington 8, though.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've got
7.
the Commanders right in at 8 in my rankings.
Thank you, Ziggy. I can't wait to hear Ziggy's list. Okay, Jack, 7.
7, I'm going to go with the Packers. I think this is a good spot for the Packers. Still a team who, again, I don't want to play them. They're scary. A team who could beat anybody. But have fallen a little bit and have yet to show that, I mean, what, they're 0-5 now against the 3 NFC contenders. But what they did, again, in Minnesota, to come back and have a chance to win the game at the end, one more stop, that just shows how explosive they
got real.
That they could be. I don't want to play them. They're probably not the best. They're probably not the best 3 teams in the NFC. They're probably there at number 4 and they're probably clear number 4. But I think 7's a good spot for them right now.
Do you think they're closer to the Rams and the Bucks and the Commanders, or the Vikings, Eagles, and Lions right now?
I think I'd probably pin them up there with the Vikings, Eagles, and Lions. Like, I think the Packers would beat the Rams or the Bucks.
Okay. I have them sliding at 7 too.
Yeah, I read an interesting piece. You know, Mike Sando, he always puts out these polls, right, on Monday to executives and stuff where people are asked to rank the top 7 teams in the NFC. The Lions, Vikings, and Eagles all perfectly split the 1, 2, and 3 votes. So the average there was 2. Wow. Every single person put the Packers at 4. And then there was chaos underneath about who to rank 5, 6, or 7. So it seems like basically everyone agrees the Packers are right between those top 3 teams and those bottom 3 teams. But I think you're right. On the evidence of the season, they belong closer to that upper tier. I have confidence that the Packers have a chance of beating one of those 3 teams. I know they're 0-5, but 4 of them have been very, very close. I don't have that much confidence that the Bucs or the Rams are going to be beating those top teams.
So maybe actually, when we talked about the Seahawks being the threshold for contender or not contender,
maybe it's the Packers
in the NFC, maybe it's actually Green Bay. That actually makes way more sense.
But I do think Green Bay is probably a contender, though.
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
like Seattle's the threshold for the contenders to beat.
Seattle's the threshold for playoff team. Green Bay's the threshold for contenders.
At tier 1, the Packers are the 1B.
Yes, I think I'd agree with that. I also had them at 7 in my power rankings as well.
I had them at 6.
All right, so that brings us over to Ziggy with the number 6 selection.
Well, this is no problem. I'll just swap my 7 and my 6. At 6, coming in here is the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, I know they're winning basically every single game they play. I know they've got Patrick Mahomes. I know we're supposed to believe they're going to figure it out at some point, and maybe they will. But every single team above them has played better football for basically the whole year. And at a certain point, like we're at the end of the season now. We're going into week 18. The time for promissory notes is up. They're still edging out games. I get that the win in Pittsburgh was huge. That was a big win for them. But that's really their only big dominant win of the whole season. Like beating the Browns by 2 scores doesn't impress me. Close game against the Texans doesn't impress me. And otherwise, you have a bunch of close games against pretty bad teams. So I think this Chiefs team is good. Right, number 6 is not some ranking to suggest they're bums. I think they're real contenders, but I'll stand by it. I think every single team we're going to put above them has shown more at this point in the season.
I moved them a bit higher after beating down my boys.
Well, of course you did.
Like beating down my boy. No one goes into Western PA and beats down the Steelers like that. So I was pretty impressed.
Were you trying to hold back saying Acrisure right there?
Yes.
I could see I could see for a second you're like going into Western PA.
No one goes into Heinz Field and beats down the black and gold like that. The last time it happened was last year's 49ers and they made the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I was a bit higher after that.
I mean, guys, they're 15-1. 15-1 is absurd.
Yeah.
Like you talk about 15-1 seasons.
Number 1 in the record rank.
I mean, Kelsey's coming back. I mean, Kelsey kicked the crap out of us.
They looked really good against you.
They looked good.
And the dark magic prevailed in Heinz Field.
Their black magic beat our black magic.
Yeah.
They beat up on the number 19 team.
You don't see teams go into your stadium though and have more black magic.
No, just like the fumble we forced and then right back in the Chiefs' hands.
No, everything was bouncing their way. I loved Jack at one point during the Christmas game goes, because I think what was going on, there were a lot of fumbles, a bunch of like weird plays were happening at one point, and Jack texts in, he's like, what do you say? This is actually, wait, I think I'm laughing at my own joke. I said, this is more like Dumbledore versus Voldemort. Oh, it was playing off you because you said this is a battle of magic.
Yeah.
I said, this is more like Dumbledore versus Voldemort than Steelers Ravens right here. Or Steelers.
You got to learn how to tell a joke, man.
I'm sorry. It was. I thought it was a funny joke.
I mean, I'm fine with 6, but I had been a little bit higher this week.
Okay, so this brings it to me at 5. And I'm actually pretty torn here as to who I want to put between 2 teams. I'm thinking, and for me, it's the Ravens or Lions to me going here at 5, and I think I'm going to put Baltimore. I don't want to have too much disrespect for the Lions because one, I'm a little scared about it if I disrespect them this whole week that we're going to get our ass kicked in Week 18. But Detroit, even though they have all the injuries, they're still 14-2 or 13-2. We were doing this right before the Monday Night Football game. And Baltimore, some really convincing wins, beating up on the Steelers, although that was a good game. It wasn't beating up on the Steelers. And then beating up on the Texans, who appear to be much more frauds than we may have even realized. But as long as you have Lamar Jackson, you can beat anyone in the league and you're a Super Bowl threat. So I have them at 5. Baltimore here.
That Steelers Texans wild card game is going to starve families.
It's gonna be brutal.
I mean, that's just going to be abysmal. I mean, somebody has to win though, right? You can't tie a playoff game.
No, that'll be a tough
And
watch.
what would you combine the Steelers and Texans best players with the Chiefs next round if they tied? Like, how would that work?
If you combine the Texans and the Steelers, I think they're a great team. They're a very good.
I think
team.
they'd be awesome.
Oh
yeah,
they'd be great. They'd be great.
I think Baltimore.
They might beat the Chiefs.
Like I've come around them. I think Baltimore's amazing. Like they're my pick to win the Super Bowl now. Actually,
Would you put them higher than Detroit?
yeah.
Damn, I should have put the Lions there.
I think Baltimore's awesome.
Should have just done it. I'm worried about this karma situation.
And like they're incredible. I think number 5 is a good spot, but I'd probably put them at.
It's too low on the Ravens. It just is.
Yeah, but then you have games like they're weird though because they'll beat the crap out of someone and then
They
every
are
once in a
weird.
while
But, like,
they'll flame out.
But when they're playing to the best of their abilities, they're the best team in the league.
Their ceiling is as high as anybody,
It's probably number 1.
but they more frequently go to their floor than
you'd like
a
to see.
lot of the other contenders do.
yeah. All right. I think 5's a fine spot.
All right, so you're at 4 now, Jack.
4. So we got the Lions, Eagles, Vikings.
This has to
Bills.
be Vikings, Bills,
Yeah.
Eagles.
Okay.
Lions.
Don't tell Jack who to put there.
I mean,
He can put the
it
Broncos
has
there
to
if he
be.
wants.
True. I mean,
You could,
I could.
but
It's just one bad loss.
I'm gonna go with the Dolphins at 4, actually, and they're gonna make the playoffs. They've come around the last couple of weeks, sitting there at 8-8 now, 500. They just blew out the Browns on the road. Looked impressive. No, 4. I'm gonna go. I'll go with the Lions at 4. Incredible team, contender, banged up, and I think the Bills, Eagles, and Vikings are right now a little bit better.
okay. Detroit at 4. Yeah, Detroit's still really good. The injuries.
Yeah, no knock them. They're amazing. I just think that there's 3
Are
teams.
people
a little bit
starting
better.
to overreact to the injuries or no?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I'm with Lions fans on this one. I'm starting to get tired of hearing about the Lions injuries.
Yep.
Here's what those injuries have actually amounted to. It's amounted to them winning a bunch of games.
Can you amount to me?
Usually blowing people out. And their only loss since the injuries have apparently crippled this team is a shootout with Superman Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Yeah, who had one of the best games of his career.
Yeah, they beating the Packers. Like there is no team in the NFL that has beaten more contenders than the Lions more times.
Yeah. No,
Like, it just isn't.
I think we're starting to overreact to the injuries. I mean, they are massive injuries, though. We can't
Bro,
overlook
look,
that.
we're out here putting them as,
But
as
they
top
keep
4.
overcoming it.
No, they do. But when you're playing the great teams, sometimes like look, that's what Buffalo did. As great as Josh Allen was, I don't know if Buffalo's putting up 50 points if the Lions are fully healthy.
I mean,
on
yeah,
defense.
look at one team who are going to have ahead of the Lions just beat the crap out of the Lions 2 weeks ago. Our Lions are awesome. I don't think putting them at 4 is overreacting to injury.
The Bills did not beat the crap out of the Lions. They won a tight shootout.
And
Look,
it wasn't
you want to
that
talk about
tight.
injuries? Give me a call when Jared Goff snaps his leg. Otherwise, I don't care.
Putting
Oh
the
my
Lions
God.
at 4 and saying it's still a contender is not overreacting to the injuries.
I thought the Bills.
Yeah, it is.
I thought the Bills won that game comfortably.
Yeah.
Comfortably.
Go ahead.
There were 2 scores the whole second half. All right. We're on to number 3.
All right, number 3.
This has to be the Vikings
Look,
here.
we know who's going here. They're the team that belongs here. They're one of the contenders in the NFC. They finally proved that they can sort of overcome the flaws on offense. They can overcome having a problematic quarterback. He's playing some of the best football of his career, maybe the best football of his career, but he was injured. So right here, we're slotting in the Philadelphia Eagles.
Good.
Look,
good. Good.
This team is very good. Don't get me wrong. We're putting them at number 3. Obviously, we're very high on them. But too much of this offense runs through Saquon Barkley for me to be really comfortable with them, putting them higher come postseason. It feels weird to say that, right? People are going to fixate on that. I'm putting them at 3, right? Obviously, I think this is an elite team. But you need, in order to win a Super Bowl in today's NFL, I care number 1, first and foremost, about passing offense. And the Eagles have a worse passing offense than the 2 teams ahead of them. That's just how it is. Now, they've got the weapons. They've got a great quarterback. Obviously, this is a very strong team. When you're justifying 3 versus 2 versus 1, you're going to be looking at tiny little flaws. But I'm just not as confident in this Eagles team as I am in the teams above them.
Fair enough. I love that you did that, Ziggy. I'm a big fan of that ranking.
I would
Huge
put
fan.
the Vikings there at 3.
So this brings it to me at 2.
You wouldn't beat the Eagles.
In Minnesota, we would. In Minnesota, we beat the Eagles.
You're not going to play in Minnesota, though.
Neutral field, we beat the Eagles. I'm putting at
We
number
won
2.
one game. We're
So-
playing Minnesota.
At number 2,
You're not going to win that game.
we have Josh Allen, Superman, and the mighty Buffalo Bills, or Sam Darnold, and the overachieving Minnesota Vikings.
I'm going to take a look at your list right here. See what you got.
Yeah. Look, dude, there's no way in hell that I'm not putting the Bills at 2 and giving the Vikings the number 1 spot right now. I mean, I'd be a lunatic. I'm a Viking fan. I'd be a lunatic to think differently. And after the win against the Packers, the dominant win, which had a scary moment, to be fair, a scary moment there at the end, I do think the Vikings are the best team in football. And Buffalo's right behind them. Josh Allen's been amazing this season. He's going to win the MVP. They have a great opportunity to go on a Super Bowl run themselves this season. This is probably the best chance the Bills have had in the Josh Allen era, other than maybe the 13-second game that Bills team probably gets to the Super Bowl. I think Buffalo's great. James Cook is awesome, but I really believe one team's better.
Yeah, well, so why not put the Miami Dolphins?
I'd be so upset to make the graphic and have the Dolphins.
I mean, the Dolphins have been on fire lately.
I'd be so pissed off
if this Rams team fixes their offense, man.
The Dolphins
They
are
should have won.
the Dolphins are going to backpedal into the playoffs. It's going to be amazing.
This is where you put
they're going to go win.
You know, the Bucks are hot as well. Baker Mayfield's playing really well. Not that I'm vouching for them to be the number 1 team. I'm just saying they could have belonged on this list.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, there's
Ziggy,
There's
don't
so
you
much
say,
talent on this 49ers team.
do you say power rankings? You said this, Ziggy. Like when you factor power rankings, you can play the role of like predicting what will happen in the near future. Right?
I think that when I'm making power rankings, I am thinking a neutral field game this week, current state of the teams, who's winning.
But if I say the Bucks will be the Vikings in the playoffs in 2 weeks, I put the Bucks at number 1.
Who do you think wins on neutral field?
If you think the Bucks on a neutral field, you play the game 100 times, the Bucks win 51 of them, and it's that way for every other team in the NFL. Yeah, they can go number 1.
Put the Vikings at 1.
Yes, dude. I wish I could go,
but
I wish I had a time machine. I could go back and tell Paul on like August 12th, whatever it was, when JJ McCarthy needed this season-ending injury, and I was in the Newark airport, like staring at my phone, stunned, going, "Are you kidding me right now?" I wish I could go back and tell
number
him
1.
that we're number 1 in the power rankings week 18.
But like you will lose in Tampa in 2 weeks, and then you'll be out.
We're not going to be.
That's
in
going
Tampa.
to happen.
We won't be in Tampa Bay.
You think you're beating Detroit on the road? No way.
See, this is so here's the list, and then this is a natural progression here. The Steelers at 10 from Jack. The Bengals are back in there, baby, for Ziggy at 9 after what, like 10 weeks of freedom from that. I put the Commanders at 8. Jack goes Packers at 7. Ziggy Chiefs at 6. I put the Ravens at 5. Jack goes Lions at 4. Ziggy puts the Eagles at 3. I put the Bills at 2. And Jack, he was adamant about this. Said the Vikings are the best team in the NFL. He wanted that.
Yep.
And he got it. So the Vikings are the number 1 team. Now we're looking ahead to the playoff situations in week 18. Obviously the big game, Vikings and Lions, Sunday Night Football in Detroit, the NFC North on the line, the number 1 seed on the line. Like, I can't wait for this. And I was thinking today, this is probably the 5th biggest Viking game of my entire life. You had the 2009 divisional and championship game, 2017 divisional and championship game. And then there's this. If we lose, we're still in it, but I'm not confident going on the road to the playoffs, and that's probably what you're going to have to do. But if we win this game, like, it's on. The Super Bowl is on. And I still haven't wrapped my head around it, but this is, it is one of the biggest games of my life. And I really do believe that they're going to, and this is why it's going to get me now. This is why it's going to come back to bite me. I really believe they're going to go into Detroit and win. The same way I thought we were going to go into Philly and win in the NFC Championship game, I think we're going to go into Detroit and win. And this is when I'll get hurt. This is when I'll wind up, like holding back tears at 12 o'clock at night in my bed, wishing that we could go back in time. But I really think that this is going to happen.
Are you going to be upset when I tell you during that game, I'll be in my Calvin Johnson jersey in Midtown in a Lions bar in my Lions bandana?
Yeah, I think that's betrayal. I think that's betrayal.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, is that upsetting?
Yeah, that is upsetting to me. I think we've been friends for what, 15 years? What are we, 26? We've been friends since 2nd grade. You're going to go into Midtown Manhattan and wearing a Calvin Johnson jersey in the 5th biggest football game of my life.
The Lions bar is a lot of fun.
Lions bar is fun, but this is brotherhood. You have no connection, no
Go to a
real.
Vikings bar.
Wow, you like Alex is a great guy.
You'd
Go to a
root-
Viking.
You'd root for the Ravens in this situation over the Steelers, 100%.
No, I'd root for the Steelers. I'd root for the Steelers.
No, I'm 50-50.
No, you're not. You're rooting for the Lions. You're rooting for the Lions. You're going to a bar in New York dressed as Calvin Johnson with hundreds of other Lions fans watching. You are not 50-50.
That's just because it's a Lions bar. So I can't show up in.
Don't go to the bar. Come hang out.
Well, the
Watch the
bar's
game
fun.
here.
Well, the bar's fun.
Come over here. I'll give you as much beer as you want. I'll give you a jersey. I'll let you blow a Gallahorn, whatever you want.
All right, maybe I'll be here. We'll see.
Okay.
Is it the Viking horn impersonation? Yeah, this is 50-50. I might just take the over. I think both teams will score. Actually, that's the thing about the Vikings-Packers. What was the over-under in that game?
47 and a half, 48 and a half.
So it went under. So there's
No, it went over. 27-25.
Yeah, it's 42.
Here, do you need to be reminded of the score?
That's
Here,
42.
Here, I got you. I'll remind you of the score. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
27-25.
That's
Hey, where's
42.
that graphic from, by the way?
I don't know.
The top
That
one.
graphic's from our live show where we did the game.
That's
Obviously,
52.
you don't want to watch our live
So
reaction
anyway,
back now. But if you enjoyed that, go in the comments. Let us know if you want to do more live game reacts. Come on, let us know.
All right, so that's to
Sorry,
play.
I'm trying to promote the health of the channel here. That's my bad.
So Jack's doing math.
That's to play the weekend for me. Is just take the over in this game because both offenses will score and both defenses will struggle. But I'm
Will
excited.
you know if they hit the over?
Yeah.
Will you be able to tell?
There it is, 40.
Yeah,
Jack, it's
that was
13 to
tough.
10.
That was tough. That was a bad look. That was a bad look. But in all seriousness,
That's okay.
And it was 15 plus 10, 35.
25?
In all seriousness, though, I do believe that the winner of this game is probably the favorite to go to the Super Bowl with the number one seed.
Hell of a take.
Playoffs going through their home stadium.
Well, so I think, it's easy to sit back here and make fun of Jack for saying that, but I don't think people realize how hard it is to make the Super Bowl.
Well, if you're the five, you go on the road 3 times.
Only 2 teams have done it in the past, in the current format or something like the current format, right? It was the 2011 Packers or 2010 Packers, excuse me, and then the Buccaneers of Tom Brady.
Oh, you said
Like,
you're
those are the
saying
only
so
teams.
you're saying what, a wild card team?
Yeah, making the Super Bowl is a wild card.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah, okay,
extremely
okay,
rare.
okay.
And indeed, there was a stretch from I think 2013 to 2018 or 19. Yeah, until that Bucs team. Every single team that made the Super Bowl was a 1 or a 2 seed.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying when I think that this is literally the season.
I do like the Lions in this game, though. I think the Lions will win.
In Detroit, it's gonna be really tough.
Yeah,
it's gonna have an NFC Championship game environment to it.
The
It should.
Lions, the Lions will win this game and then go to the Super Bowl. That's what'll happen, and then they'll avenge their last year's NFC chip loss.
Man, I really hope not. To me, I trust the Vikings offense. I trust the Lions offense to be good. I really think it's going to come down to, do we get a duplicate performance from the Viking defense that we saw against the Packers? If we get that Vikings defense, they're going to win the game.
Yes, I agree.
And they had their struggles against Detroit the first time they played. And despite all the injuries the Lions have, the offense is really, David Montgomery's the big missing piece. And Jahmyr Gibbs is fantastic. He can carry the weight. So the Vikings defense is going to have to step up again. I trust them to do it more than I do Detroit, although Detroit plays with more heart than any team in the league. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really do think the Vikings, though, I think they're peaking again.
I mean, Detroit is sitting here saying we're hosting the Minnesota Vikings for a chance of the number one seed. Like, we're hosting Sam Darnold, who had a win total of like 3.
If they think that, they're going to lose.
For a chance of the number one seed.
If they think that, they're going to
I bet
lose.
was thinking that a whole lot, Jack.
No, yes, I
bet
agree.
you
They are
every
gonna lose
team that
if they
played
think
Kurt Warner was thinking that. We're playing the St. Louis Rams with a guy who was bagging groceries for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. What happened there?
I wasn't born then. What happened? Was I born?
You're very young.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was a baby.
I mean, it does feel like these teams are sort of opposites, though, right? You saw this Vikings team before this Packers game. It feels like everybody's sort of finally getting healthy, where we finally got Cashman and Pace back. It was like Aaron Jones will be able to play. People are optimistic that this Vikings team is very, very healthy for this point in the season. Obviously, we have injuries. Everybody does. But, people say team of destiny way too early.
It's
way
too early for
often.
that.
The Vikings aren't. They're just not winning
This Vikings
game.
team is a team of destiny.
They're not winning this game.
All right.
I'll give you $1,000 if the Vikings win this game, Ziggy.
No, you won't.
Yes, I would. That's how
Okay, done. You're on the hook.
That's how confident I am.
Okay, so the $1,000 wager has been placed. We'll have, Ziggy and Jack.
Oh, it's not a wager.
Oh,
It's one-sided.
That's how confident I am.
Jack said he'll pay out in 3 years worth of installments.
I'll give him $1 every day for 3.5 years.
for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Ziggy, you'll take that. You'll take that.
Well, that's
So-
$1,000.
All right, the bet's placed.
That's more than $1,000.
You know what? I love that meme.
Yeah, you're right.
I love that meme that's out there with the Vikings and Lions. It's like Lions having literally the best season in franchise history, and it's the Vikings just like effing around with Sam Darnold at a rebuild. And then both
Yeah, when
sitting
people
there.
say that, like, this isn't the best regular season in our franchise's history, just about.
Well, it's not. It's just not.
It's close. It's very close.
You've never been 14-2, have you?
15-1 in 1998.
Oh, you lost in the
The
championship.
1998
Yeah.
season was incredible. There were only 2 of those games were 1 scores. I mean, that was an incredible team.
But I mean, like, you were a fetus, but you were a sperm
This
cell
is-
back then.
This is one of the best Vikings teams ever, regular season.
Record wise, yeah, I think. Yes, obviously, it's one of the best teams we've ever had. But I think, like, if you were ranking them, there's probably a handful of 70s teams or a couple 70s teams you might put ahead of them. The 1998 team, I'd probably still put 2009. So they're a top 10 Vikings team for sure. But it's still kind of messing around with Sam Darnold. Like, this was supposed to be a rebuild. All right, so the other big games we have in terms of playoff implications here. Actually, there's quite a few. It's pretty wild, but. Really, one of the big ones first that we'll hit. So that AFC 7 seed is one of the big talking points. It's been one of the big talking points for a while.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, Zach, you've paying attention, Zach? Are you starting to get a little more excited for Week 18?
He doesn't care. doesn't care.
Zach looks like he doesn't care for the Dolphins. What have you resigned to?
No, I care. It's just
Sounds like it.
it's just like I have no hopes. Like if I had hopes for this team making it to the Super Bowl, I'd be a lot more ecstatic. But basically, what we're doing right now is we're gonna make the playoffs, and we're just gonna be now picking 21st
First. Yeah.
with a team that probably needs a full rebuild at this point.
Well, the good
No,
thing is you signed to a $50+ million
Yeah.
a year contract.
It's called purgatory. Pittsburgh's in the same exact boat.
Yeah.
Do you want something to hope about for this Dolphins team making the playoffs? I haven't heard many people talk about this.
Give me the hope.
So, we do a lot of schedule comparison on this show, and I took a look at the rest of the season opponent win percentage rankings. The Broncos have the hardest remaining schedule in the NFL.
This year.
Their opponent win percentage, I've never seen it before. It's over 90%. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins, they're tied for second to last. Their remaining opponent win percentage is 25%. And all the Dolphins need to do is have a better record than the Broncos for the rest of the season. They just need one more
There
game
you
than
go,
the
Zach.
Broncos
You got
the
that
rest of the
going
season.
for you.
And
Yeah.
they make the playoffs.
Oh yay!
I mean,
So
it's Cincinnati, it's
three
Miami,
teams.
or it's the
Yeah, so
Broncos. Broncos
There's
winning
a couple
in.
ways this go.
If all three teams
Broncos
lose,
win,
Denver's
they're
in.
Broncos lose, Dolphins in, Dolphins are in. Broncos lose, Dolphins lose, Bengals win, Bengals
are in.
All 3 of those teams lose, Broncos are in. That's
Yep.
it.
And the Broncos playing at home
against the Chiefs.
against the Chiefs backups. Minus 500 outright.
Are they
Against
minus 500?
Carson
Yeah,
Wentz.
they're 5-1 favorites.
It's disappointing I'm sad that that's the situation. I really wish that. And hey, you never know. Like Carson Wentz is.
no.
You were saying it before,
Yeah,
right? Carson Wentz
like,
isn't just a pushover.
He's no bum. He's not like his Spencer Rattlers. Like it's
The
like
Saints
there's
starting quarterback.
Like there's no world the team like the Raiders or like the Saints could win this week. But Carson Wentz, I guess maybe could. Like there's hope if you're a Dolphin or a Bengal fan.
And how much? And you gotta think the Chiefs too would love to beat Denver and keep them out. Like how great
like
would
the
that feel?
Chiefs are going. These guys are going to want to play
Yes.
these second stringers. They're no high school team.
So the Broncos play the Chiefs. The Dolphins, they go to the Jets. They're in MetLife Stadium. The Jets are. I mean, what a dumpster
Well,
fire.
what's scary for the Dolphins is there's a decent chance the Jets are going to play Tyrod. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to play, and that's much scarier.
And then the Bengals are at the Steelers. So if you had to guess right now, I would probably pick the Broncos to beat the Chiefs backups. But
I would too, but that's going to be a game that I think is closer than expected.
I think it'll be close too. I don't think Denver rolls them.
No, me neither. I mean, these Chiefs backups are coming in. They're coming into play.
Now, if the Steelers lose, okay, if the Steelers lose to the Bengals, let's say that happens.
We're not losing to the Bengals.
But if you do, and then if the Chargers win, they jump you for the 5 seed, correct?
Then Pittsburgh's the 6, Chargers are the 5.
Yep, and Denver will be the 7. So Denver cannot take the 6 seed from
Denver's
the
the
Steelers.
7. Yeah. Pittsburgh's 5 or 6 along with the Chargers. Denver's /Cincinnati /Miami is 7.
I want to see, is there any world here? Okay, so the Bengals, Dolphins, or Broncos will be the 7 no matter what.
The Bengals Steelers game is going to be good because that Dolphins game and Broncos game are Sunday, correct? Mm-hmm. So the Bengals have everything to play for on Saturday night. Like, they won't be eliminated before that Saturday night game in Pittsburgh.
Nope. And the Steelers are not going to let that Bengals team walk all over them.
Well, I hope not. We're still playing to go to Houston instead of Baltimore.
Well, and also, in any world,
like the off chance the 18-point underdogs Cleveland can beat Baltimore at 4:30.
Then so there's another twist here where if the Browns beat the Ravens, then the Steelers are playing for the 3
division.
seed.
Yeah.
So
Look,
it's kind of
Jack,
fun.
You know this as well as anyone. I don't care what the spread is. It's AFC North football.
Oh, I'm aware. I remember the same scenario a couple years back, Ziggy, when the Browns had Baker Mayfield, I think, as a rookie, and they were terrible. And they went into Baltimore last week of the season as huge dogs. And if Cleveland had won, we would have gotten in. And it was very, very, very close. Cleveland, you remember that? They were driving at the end of the game, Cleveland. I don't know if you remember that game.
Wait, weren't you in the stadium?
Pittsburgh was all watching on the
you were watching on the Jumbotron. Were you there?
I wasn't there.
Oh,
no.
okay. I do remember them showing that game, though. Yeah.
But I think Cleveland could make it more interesting than people think. So we'll see.
How many? What's the spread?
17.5.
17.5. Yeah,
So,
that's not an AFC
If
North.
Cleveland goes and wins that game, Pittsburgh mops Cincinnati away at 8 o'clock.
That like it's gonna the AFC. So the teams, it's gonna be 7 of those 9 teams we said. But then within it, the seeding itself, other than the Chiefs being the 1, the Bills being the 2, and what is it? The Texans are they locked into the 4?
Are 4.
Yeah, they're locked into the 4. So the wild cards are kind of all over the place. But let's pretend that it plays out the way we're expecting. I think Denver probably wins. Let's say the Ravens win. Is it fair to say the Steelers will beat the Bengals? Can we say that?
Yes.
Right. Let's say the Steelers do beat the Bengals and the Chargers win. Then we're looking at the Chiefs with a bye, Denver going to Buffalo in the 7-2, Chargers going to Ravens in the 6-3, and the Steelers going to the Texans in the 5-4.
God.
I mean, I think Buffalo and Ravens have their way, and then Pittsburgh, Houston's good. Are you all right? What the hell just happened?
I just got.
Sorry, I heard that the Steelers
He got
would be going
nauseous
to the
hearing
Texans.
Steelers.
I thought Ziggy
I had those.
I actually got nervous there. I thought you were choking on
He got
something.
nauseous
I'm
hearing
nervous.
What the
Texans.
hell was that?
Can you imagine having to talk about that game?
But the thing is, too, that's why
I actually got a little nervous. What the hell?
even if Baltimore beats Cleveland, Pittsburgh is still playing on Saturday night. Because you'd so much rather go to Houston than Baltimore.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So that's Pittsburgh's playing meaningful football Saturday regardless.
No,
Yeah.
you guys can't win in Baltimore.
I mean, we could.
It's not
They
happening in the
but
playoffs. It's
I
not
wouldn't pick
happening.
We
it.
could.
I would
You
pick
will
it.
win in Houston.
I think I'd actually pick us against Houston. Baltimore would be very, very difficult.
And then you'd be going. So if you're the 5, then you would be going to Kansas City.
Kansas City. And that's
Assuming the Ravens beat the Chargers.
that's where it comes to an end.
Honestly, I'd rather go to Kansas City than go to Baltimore. I'd rather go to Kansas City than go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe.
just pick your poison. We don't
Yeah.
want to
I
bleed.
mean, it's
If I'm the Steelers,
like,
I'd
it's
rather
not
go to
like that's
Baltimore
much
than Kansas
worse.
City.
You know what it is? For Pittsburgh going to Buffalo or KC, it's like, do you want to chug bleach or get burned alive? That's a painful, it's a horrible death either way. It's like, what do you choose?
Yeah, well, that's different than the NFC, right? Where it's like if you're facing the 1 seed, you're facing Minnesota or Detroit. Facing the 2 seed, you're going to Philly. Facing the 3 seed, you're going to LA. I mean, you can take over their stadium. We've seen it. There have been playoff games where Matthew Stafford and the Rams have had to go to a silent count because it's too loud. Like the
That
3
is
seed in
nuts.
the NFC, that's what you're looking for.
So-
the 3 seed in the AFC, no thank you.
Here's how it works in the NFC. Of the 7 seeds, there are 8 teams that can make the playoffs right now. Okay, so we talked extensively about the Lions and the Vikings for the 1. The loser will be the 5. Okay, the 2 is the Eagles. They've locked that in. 3 currently is Tampa Bay. All right, Tampa Bay with a win locks in a playoff spot. They win the NFC South. If Tampa wins, okay, and the Rams lose, Tampa's the 3, the Rams are the 4. If they both win, the Rams and the Bucks, the Rams will lock in the 3 seed. Okay? Does all make sense right now? The other scenario, are you following?
Yes, I'm following.
All right. Currently, the Rams are the 3. If they win, they get the 3 seed.
Okay.
If they lose and the Bucks win,
No,
the
I'm
Bucks will
following. I
jump
heard,
them.
yes.
Yeah.
yes.
All right. You looked like you weren't following.
How could you tell? He's wearing glasses.
Yeah, I guess you can't tell. The
I'm stoned.
other scenario, though, if the Bucks lose and Atlanta wins, the Falcons would then win the South and become the 4 seed. That's what I wanted as a Viking fan. I feel like going to Atlanta, much easier matchup than the Bucks if we were to lose to Detroit.
What happens if the Rams tie and the Bucks win?
I don't know what does happen.
The Rams are the 3 seed.
Speaking of
Okay.
Nice job knowing the brackets, dude.
You know what's really funny? Speaking of the Falcons and Michael Penix, I was looking back at the top 10 funniest college game day signs from this year. And when Indiana hosted Washington, some IU student had a sign that said, "You stole our Penix, but we only got harder." I was just laughing for like an hour.
I actually thought one of the best signs I saw was at the Notre Dame Indiana game. Someone had a sign that just said Rudy would be a starter on IU.
That is
I thought that was so
Honestly,
good.
It probably would have been.
He would have been. Yeah, it
let's
would have
talk
been
about
great.
the NFL.
Okay, and then lastly, between the 6 and the 7 seed, that will be the Commanders or the Packers. If the Commanders win against the Cowboys at Dallas, they lock in the 6. If they lose, the Packers then have the opportunity to jump Washington by beating the lowly Chicago Bears. Yeah, didn't mean to throw a stray there, but at home against the Packers. So let's assume again that everything goes according to what we expect here. The Vikings would be the ones. The Vikings would be the 1 seed. The Packers would be the 7 going to Philly. The Commanders would be the 6 going to Los Angeles. The Lions would be the 5 going to Tampa Bay. And what's kind of interesting here when you start playing the matchup game then, like let's pretend that actually I'm sorry, this wouldn't happen because we'd want the Packers. But there is a scenario where the Lions would play at Tampa, and if the Packers upset the Eagles, the Lions would then go to LA and play the 2 teams they knocked out last year, which I think would be really fun.
Right, both on the road.
And think about, the Lions have 2 losses on this season. One of them was to the Buccaneers. So for the Vikings or Lions, the punishment of losing this game and being 14-3, getting the wild card, you go to a team that's already showed they could beat Detroit.
Yeah, and
nuts. It's nuts.
Like the path for this 5 seed would be probably the Bucks, and then to the
Likely
NFC
the
North
one.
champ.
Yeah.
I mean that's yeah.
It's gonna look. You want to get to the Super Bowl, it's a tough path. And think about that for the Vikings too. If we wind up hosting the Lions in the second round, like that's a crappy second round matchup.
Lions, Eagles.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. So it'll be interesting no matter what happens. I'm excited for it. Let me ask you, Ziggy, about Green Bay right here. If they wind up going to Philadelphia, that's something that a lot of Packers fans were hoping to avoid. It looked like they would avoid it this entire season. They might actually have the Jalen Hurts injury to thank for this, because that's, in my opinion, what allowed the Commanders to win that game against the Eagles a couple weeks ago and make all this possible. But if the Packers wind up going to Philly, with how fed up the Green Bay fan base is right now after Sunday's game against the Vikings, do you think them going in there, is that a matchup where you're like, oh, they're done, they're going to Philly, they're screwed? Or do you think the Packers, I think they could go in there and beat Philadelphia. I really think they can.
Yeah,
So
I would. Go ahead. Ziggy.
I'll say 2 things here because Paul did ask me. One thing I'll say just
God,
real
I'll
quick
back off. I'll back off.
Take it easy, Jack. People are acting like the Commanders beating the Cowboys is a sure thing. The Commanders are only 3.5 point favorites. There's still a real chance that the Commanders lose that game. So that's not totally set. But the question you asked was what happens if Green Bay is to go into Philadelphia. Here's the thing about that game. The Eagles are the better team. It's true. Everybody knows that's true. But there is a way to beat this Eagles team. And it comes in 2 steps. Step 1 is limit the ground game. Obviously, Saquon's going to have a good game, but he doesn't have to have a great game. And the second thing you have to do is get pressure on Jalen Hurts and screw up the passing game. If you can do those
Stop
2
the run,
things,
stop the
I
pass.
think the Packers can win. Yeah, but I know that sounds silly, but here's the thing. The Packers have a good run defense. Even in the game against the Vikings, we saw, right? They were able to limit Aaron Jones. Like, this run defense is good, especially with Edgerrin Cooper stepping up. I think that their run defense is one of the best in the NFL. And Jalen Hurts is prone to having weird games. It happens sometimes. He's just off. I mean, it feels like it was only a couple weeks ago, because it was only a couple weeks ago. when AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, it felt like they were publicly feuding because of how bad the passing game was and because people weren't happy. This passing game is not perfect, especially if Jalen Hurts doesn't play this week, which I'd imagine. I don't know if he will be able to play or won't. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm guessing they'll keep him out.
But we could be looking at him going 3.5 weeks without playing a game. It's definitely possible he comes out and looks a little bit rusty. It's definitely possible that he comes out and isn't immediately lights out. Now, again, the Green Bay offense needs to play better than they did against the Vikings.
Yeah, they lose to anyone if they play
better. Needs to play better than they did against the Vikings. But Green Bay, it feels like they're the sort of team that has a chance of winning this. I think the defense could do it. I really do think they will shut down Saquon Barkley or at least limit him. So the question just comes, can they get the secondary healthy? I think they can. Can Jordan Love play better football? He'll be coming off a great game. I think it's possible. He's going to have a great game against the Bears. We all know it. Like it's a must-win game for the Packers, hosting the Chicago Bears with nothing to play for. Jordan Love's thrown for 500 yards and a dozen touchdowns. Put him in your daily fantasy lineups. Yeah, I can see it happening. That's what I'm saying. Will it happen? I don't know, but I see the vision.
Green Bay is the one, assuming Green Bay does get the 7. And again, I do think Dallas can knock off Washington. I mean, Dallas just beat the Bucs at home, right? Didn't they?
Dallas yes.
No, I mean, I think Dallas will be up to play.
But no CeeDee Lamb.
That's a big hit. But I mean, I don't think it's a guarantee that Dallas loses the Commanders. So, but assuming that Green Bay does get the 7 seed, if Washington goes in there and escapes Dallas, that's the 1-7 seed, the one team where Philly's probably like, crap, like Green Bay. Played week 1, it was close. A team with firepower. One of probably only 3 teams who could beat them. Like, I'd so much rather see the Commanders. I'd so much rather see anyone else in that.
2 division winners, the Rams and the Bucs,
than the Packers. And look at last year's Packers, 7 seed, go to Dallas. Everyone thought Dallas was great. Didn't lose a game at home all year. Playoff Packers, Jordan Love went in there and scored 50 points on them.
The Packers are weird, where I think they can beat anyone in any situation. Like it just depends. Does Jordan Love show up, or like when you're watching them play, it's very clear when Jordan Love has it and he doesn't. And I was rewatching some of the last drives in the Viking game. And with my dad today, and he just went like, geez, when he's on. And then that's what it comes down to.
I think this might
sound
make
fun
nuts
of us for saying that kind of stuff sometimes, right? We see a million comments like, oh, of course Jordan Love needs to play well. But like Jared Goff, you know he's going to play good football. You also know he's probably not going to take over the game the way Jordan Love can. Like with Jordan Love, the highs are higher and the lows are lower, I think, than anyone in the NFC except maybe Hurts.
I think his highs are higher than Hurts. The lows might be the lows of Hurts might be lower, but I think the high of Jordan Love is probably the highest in the conference outside of maybe Stafford.
Packers fans, do you get high on Jordan Love?
I think Stafford's probably the highest ceiling. No, Stafford then Love ceiling wise.
I might say Love over Stafford ceiling.
Sure, but I think those two. I would have those
Stafford's
two guys at one.
Done it a million times more. But I'm taking Stafford.
I think if the Eagles play Kenny Pickett in that game, they win. Or do they play Hurts, they lose? Does that sound outrageous?
Yes.
I think Pickett's good.
That's the kind of stuff that makes people go in the comments and say, get Jack off the show.
But I think Pickett's found a home.
Yeah,
He's from South Jersey, grew up a Birds fan. He's playing well.
It's crazy looking at the records.
Hurts is a bit injured.
When you look at the records of the NFC.
Ziggy, I'm totally serious, too.
Oh, you can't be.
Oh, you're not.
Like you wouldn't rest Hurts one more week, let Pickett go and beat the Packers, and then get Hurts ready for that divisional round.
They lost to the Commanders.
All-time trolling.
No. Pickett was good. Like Pickett was really good that game.
He threw for 143 yards, a touchdown, and an interception.
That was Devontae Smith dropping a pass and they win the game. That was not Pickett's fault.
A perfect pass.
Yeah.
A perfect pass.
Then he goes and rolls the Cowboys. I think he's found a home. Like you're telling me you'd rather injured Hurts than a healthy Pickett who's looking good?
I mean, you're convincing me.
I'd rather play a guy who's played MVP football before than Kenny Pickett. He's never played good in a big game in his life.
Talk about low lows. Jalen Hurts is probably lowest in the NFC.
I'm not doing this. I'm not entertaining this.
I want Pickett if I'm the Eagles in that first playoff game.
The 2, 3, 4
Packers fans would agree.
In the NFC, 13-3 record for Philly. 10 and I'm sorry, I have it currently as a tie right now in the Ram game. 11-6 for the Rams. Then you'd have 10-7 for the Bucs. Wild cards are all 12 wins or more. You're probably going to end up with a 12-win Packer, 12-win Commanders, 13-win Lions. Like, that is just... I can't remember seeing wild card teams with these records.
Jaden Daniels going.
Could you imagine if we had the 6-team format and you had the Packers at 12-5 missing the playoffs?
Missing it, yeah.
Like, the wild card teams in the NFC this year. I mean, look in the AFC. You had 10-7, 10-7, 10-7, or 11 wins maybe. You know, Houston's going to be at 10. Like the NFC teams, the records are just unbelievable this season. It's crazy.
That's the best we've seen, I feel like, in a while out of a conference.
Also, I'm very confident that, especially in the NFC, exactly the 7 best teams are getting in. You know, sometimes you sit back and think, oh, there's a team that's playing hot that maybe got screwed or whatever. In the NFC, it's very clear who belongs and who doesn't, and all of them are making
Unless if the Bucks screw up against, who are they playing? The Saints this week. And the Falcons
if the Bucks
get
lose to the Saints, I don't feel like they deserve to make it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the best teams all got in. And it was a pretty clear, well, you know what the line was? Seattle. Seattle was the line.
Yeah, it is.
So there you have it. A little bit of a playoff, not a playoff preview, but some playoff talk here on the Paul Farrington Show.
Playoff preview comes next week.
Yeah, playoff preview will be next week. And we might have some more guests. Just wink, wink. We might have some more guests coming on the show in a week. So some good guests, really good guests. Well,
the best guests.
The best, huge guest, great guest, great.
Let's go.
Okay, the Week 18 preview will be coming out later this week. We appreciate everyone who's been listening. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll be back with a lot more content as the playoffs are right around the corner.